Hey, world, what up? Okay, Joel Embiid, LeBron James, both star players in the top two runners for leading in the MVP, Most Valuable Player Year candidate awards, are going to be out for extended time period. So Joel Embiid is pretty much going to be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks at least. LeBron James is looking to be out around 4 weeks or so. So you're looking at a month. So where does this put the NBA Most Valuable Player of the Year award? It's looking like in the NBA. I mean, the very beginning it was up in the air, but with Joel Embiid and LeBron James's injury, I mean, we're looking at pretty much anyone. This is up for the taking for the last 2 months of the NBA season. So pretty much before the injuries went down with, this was my starting three of the rankings. So number one was Joel Embiid for me. That still is as of right now. Let's see whenever he comes back. I'm not going to jump the gun as right now. At number two, you did have LeBron James, who was he was kind of going downwards whenever he was losing a couple games with AD and Dennis Schroeder out. Now, since Schroeder's been back, LeBron James won a couple games, but LeBron's out. He's injured. At number three, I did have James Harden, who's gone up with the Brooklyn Nets. Him and Kyrie Irving have been dominating for the last, pretty much winning the last 9 of 10 or so. Now acclimating Blake Griffin, and you do have Kevin Durant still out within this time period. So James Harden has been dominating both offensively as a point guard distributor, but let alone as a scorer, as an impact player, because Kyrie Irving is going to be out for the next couple of games due to family resolutions. And you have to throw considerations out for Damian Lillard, let alone for Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Now, the only reason why I do have Jokic and Damian Lillard that low, they are sitting at a 5th and 6th record in the Western Conference. Now, credit, they are around 2 games behind the 3rd seed. So they still got some time to pick it back up. But as of right now, I'm still keeping them at a 4th and 5th on my rankings. As of right now, if we are looking into the Eastern Conference for the Brooklyn Nets, they are a 29-14 record, 1 game behind the Philadelphia 76ers. So if James Harden can keep this performance up for the next couple of weeks, especially with Embiid and LeBron out, he's pretty much has the best for the taking of taking on the MVP award. So kudos to James Harden if that goes down with, but it's still somewhat early as of right now. LeBron James could go back to Miami, put on those PEDs, do what he's got to do, and he'll be back stronger than ever. Who knows? Who knows when it comes to this? Besides from that, let's jump into here on ESPN and let's cover a little more within this.
Today, a new segment here on The Jump called Can I Have a Word? Let's start out in D.C., where the 13th place Wizards out east beat the Jazz, who own the best record in the league, of course. Bradley Beal scored 43 points. Russell Westbrook had 35, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. After the game, Rudy Gobert challenged his teammates to fight back on the narrative about his team. Take a listen.
I think we have to understand that we haven't accomplished, we've been to the second round a few times, but you know, we get upset when people kind of laugh at us on TV and disrespect us, and there is disrespect out there, but it's on us to have respect for ourselves.
All right, so Richard, can I have a word for Rudy Gobert's post-game comments?
No, I put it right here, right here. Correct. He is 100% correct. Postseason, but
we're going to get you on to talk about what James Harden has been doing out in Brooklyn. The Nets are 21-7 since forming their new Big Three, 12-1 since KD left the lineup with a hamstring injury last month. As we look at Harden's impressive numbers this season, I want to point out that no player has ever won MVP the same year they were traded. So, Robert, can I have a word for Harden's MVP case this season?
Let me go right before him. Right now, the Nets are 29-14. Again, 2nd seed in the East, 1 game behind the Philadelphia 76ers. I expect the Brooklyn Nets to take on that number 1 seed by the end of the season, especially with Kevin Durant coming back out. And the Nets are most likely going to get either JaVale McGee, Andre Drummond, Hassan Whiteside, maybe Boogie Cousins, but they're going to get another big through a trade, most likely through a buyout, or maybe even LaMarcus Aldridge as well. I mean, there's an abundance amount of big men out there. Not only big men, but other wings and point guards. George Hill may get bought out. I mean, you're talking about some vets out there that fit very nicely with the Brooklyn Nets. So their team's not finished with their roster, but they'll pretty much finish with the first seed. They all have a huge momentum entering into the playoffs, as can be as of right now. James Harden right now is third on my list, but with Embiid and LeBron out for the next, let's just say, month or so, Harden has the best case. He's had the momentum for the last month or so. If you give him another month to do pretty much the same thing with Kevin Durant still out, anything along those lines, I would give Harden the nod over Nikola Jokic or Damian Lillard for the still active players as of right now. James Harden this season is averaging 25 points with either the Rockets or the Brooklyn Nets, but he's picked it up with leading the league in assists with 11 assists out there, and he's giving you 8 rebounds a game. His efficiency's been up. He's been pretty much playing that point guard role, and we've seen the impact with him and Kyrie Irving working things through with the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden's had the greatest turnaround from the beginning of the season to now, because when he first went to the Brooklyn Nets playing with Kyrie, he wasn't shooting as much. He was deferring a lot, and he would have some games with 14 points, 16, very uncharacteristic like. But we see now he's taking on that point guard responsibility and scoring as well. James Harden has the greatest trend to win the regular season MVP award, but we got to find the timetables and whenever LeBron James and Embiid do come back, because I doubt it's going to be a month or a month and a half for LeBron, how he's built like that. And with Embiid, looking like there's been reports that Embiid could come back within a week or two, so who knows?
Going with the word truthful.
Ooh.
What I mean by that, no disrespect to Paul Pierce, is that he's truly a good player. You know, we thought that he was just a guy that can dominate the ball in Houston, but no, this guy is a team player. You saw what he was in OKC, he was a good team player, but he said that moment, like all great players, I want to go out and see if I can shine them on. Now he realized he can't do that. So truthfully, he is a good player. He is a great player. He is an astonishing player. He's one of these guys that can change a team at any moment. So.
Yes, but this is my thing. Like, this is my thing about
You want to put
this
your
all.
word up?
Oh, yeah,
or you
yeah,
wanna-
here's my word.
All right.
The word is difficult.
Dude.
This is difficult. It's going to be difficult for him to win, to your point, to get traded to a loaded team. And I know the narrative would be, well, you know, Kevin Durant missed time and Kyrie Irving's missed time and he's putting up historic numbers. Well, these are the same numbers that he's put up in Houston for the last 5 years. He's done this. And when we make it seem...
Well, you got to let me jump in. James Harden's never averaged this amount of assists and taking on this quote-unquote point guard responsibility while adding on shooting less within a game. And listen, James Harden has joined the Brooklyn Nets, who are quote-unquote a super team, but again, Kevin Durant is out. With Kevin Durant out, and it's Harden and Kyrie, who's a weird mix, all together looking from the outside in, they're making it work. They're making it work, and James Harden's taking on a huge new impact. And they've been on a roll, winning around 10 of the 11 last games in the NBA. And the Brooklyn Nets have been dominating in a huge fashion on an upward trend. And especially in this day and age, in this NBA season, the MVP season, or the MVP award is out there for the grab. Anyone can take it. I mean, in the years we've always had LeBron easy, Steph Curry easy winning it, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now we're in a position anyone can take it. Damian Lillard can win this award. Jokic can win this award. Embiid can win it. LeBron can win another MVP. So in this position, especially with Embiid and LeBron out, yeah, James Harden has a great chance of taking this. Easy, RJ.
that like he couldn't do it by himself. He had very good teammates. He was to multiple conference finals. Like, he was very, very close.
Well, you know, CP3 got hurt, so that's the only time he's really been close.
Close, but that's what I'm saying, though. He's actually already proven that he is that top tier, even as a winner, because he's had multiple best records. He's done all of these things with D'Antoni. He just couldn't get over that final hump.
But he didn't have pieces like this.
No, nobody has pieces like this.
He's not playing with pieces like.
And with Kevin Durant out, what pieces are you talking about? I mean, Kyrie, yeah, but that's an odd fix. That's an odd pairing to say with. They're making it work because they know they can win a championship, and they got to keep their credibility up with their team chemistry because you have Kevin Durant there. You can't cause chaos and a big egotistical side of things. Kyrie and James Harden's ego has been more of a humbled setting. Kevin Durant's always been the same as it is, so they got to make it work, and they will make it work. I mean, if James Harden was traded to the Sacramento Kings, he's not going to play this way because he knows the Kings are not going to win the finals. If you're the Brooklyn Nets and if you're James Harden, you understand You defer yourself at times. You change your game. You can win an NBA championship this season. And James Harden has done the perfect, impactful way of things.
Yes,
But
in
the
this
thing is, him though,
12 and
yes.
1 without Kevin Durant, which, by the way, I love the people who take those stats and they're like, oh, see, no one needs Kevin Durant. They need Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
But
Yes, they do.
That's still impressive in this chunk of the season.
But Kyrie's a top 10,
Kyrie's just
top
coming back tonight. He's been in and out, too.
He's been in and out, but Kyrie just
But
had,
let's
just had
also
like a
talk
40
about
ball.
he has been consistently
I'm not saying
good,
he's alone,
and he doesn't
but
get
he's-
hurt.
Yes,
That's the one thing we
thank
never
you.
talk about. He plays every game, and he doesn't
every
get hurt.
night,
So
James.
that's kudos to him for that.
No, I was just talking about that on the show yesterday because I think we're kind of missing that in what he's bringing to Brooklyn this season. We obviously have been talking about the change he made in his playing style, right? Being more of a facilitator, helping everyone else shine. But think about this team. Kevin has been out for now, I think it's going to be around 6 weeks at least. Kyrie, as I said, just been in and out throughout the entire season. If James wasn't there, this is all of a sudden the Clippers team from last year,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, these guys have great talent, but no one's ever on the floor at the same time, and it's not really till the playoffs, till they're playing together. Well, that's not true now of this Brooklyn team because James is there, and he is providing that.
Okay.
Well, points. Number one, Kyrie's averaging 28 and 6 this season, which is one of his best seasons in his career, to say the least. Kyrie Irving, he can be odd, he can be weird at times, but he is a smart individual. He understands playing with Kevin Durant. He's got to defer. It's KD's team. But then with James Harden coming to the picture, James Harden and Kyrie are pretty much that 2A, 2B, to say the least, when it comes down to it. Kyrie Irving's having an excellent season. Now he's taking some time off for X to YZ issues. Besides from that, he's been taking on a huge performance. When you have Kyrie Irving pretty much being the number one guy with the Boston Celtics in 2019, and then last season with the Nets in 2020, Kyrie Irving cannot be a number one guy to win a championship. Everyone is aware of this, especially last season. Without Kevin Durant that season, he knew he was not going to win the championship, so he wants to have more of an egotistical mindset. Give me the ball, let me ball out. But now since Kevin Durant is back, especially having James Harden, you have to defer yourself to win a championship and to have the team chemistry up, let alone that rapport and relationship. Because if you're Kyrie and if you're egotistical, if you want to shoot around 25 shots a game and pull up 30 to 35 points a game, Kevin Durant and James Harden are not going to roll with that. It's not going to be healthy. It's not going to work within the playoffs. These players understand how to defer to each other. I mean, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie understand they got 3 of the best ISO scorers in basketball, all-star talents. They're going to win a championship, but they got to do their part all together to work around it. If they've done so, because these 3 are not the greatest, best leaders out there, they most likely do not have alpha mentalities, but they are very self-aware, and I'll give them credit for that. Kyrie Irving electing to play more off ball, to letting James Harden run the basketball, the point guard responsibilities, and for Kyrie to play the 2. That was very mature for them to speak during an interview. And James Harden saying he's a 1. They know what they got to do. Kevin Durant's fine playing off the ball, playing your 3 or 4. The Nets will be fine. James Harden is going to be at a great momentum to win the MVP.
How about this, Rach? I don't have a vote. You don't have a vote. If the NBA, if the MVP vote was today, Rachel,
Yes.
would he get your vote? I think he's first team All NBA. That's an obvious thing in my opinion. So
Yeah.
that means he's one of the top 5 players in the league. Would he be your MVP?
So, first of all, I never talk about who I'm voting for until it happens, because guess why, Richard? We do still have the rest of the season to play. You're not making me fall into that
just
trap.
saying today.
But I will say that part of the equation is going to be, it's funny, when Harden first went to Brooklyn, I thought part of the equation was going to be, oh, he's playing with Kevin and Kyrie on those 3-headed elite monsters. We usually don't, we can't separate out what you're doing as the MVP in such a way that you win.
Listen, this award's open.